Alright, well, on this fun and exciting day in risk and reliability in engineering, we will be discussing probabilistic risk assessment and how it would impact a makerspace system. So a probabilistic risk assessment is shortened to PRA because probabilistic can cause many people to trip up like I just did. So PRA can be broken down into basic events, um, initiating events, and both of these are compiled into event trees, such as this one right here. So this event tree is showing what would happen if an external power loss was detected. So as it goes down the tree, there's a variety of things that can happen. So you have to add in the generator fails to power on when the building loses power. And next, in this case, we would be analyzing a lathe. So the tool was failed to be pulled away from the part under residual momentum. So this would be like the residual momentum of the spindle having enough energy to where the spindle wouldn't just stop on your tool, which would most likely cause it to fail and shatter and bad things happening. So as you go down this, you get these end states. So if the external power loss was detected, all of these were okay, then everything would be okay. Even though the power was lost, no big deal. It's all good. However, if you start failing these systems one after another, you get tool piece laceration, like the tool could shatter and the shrapnel would impact the user and cause them to bleed and all that bad stuff. The part could be damaged, which, I mean, that's the overall output of the system is a good, accurate part, so that's a huge failure. Also, the part could be broken up with the loss of power, which could also impact the operator, and that would be bad as well. Each of these basic events, such as the generator fails to power on without loss of building power, I should rephrase that better. They're broken up into these event trees, or fault trees, excuse me. So in this case, it would be the generator powers on without loss of building power. So this would mean that the generator kicks on and there would be at most a little brownout. No big deal. So from this, you can break it up into three major categories that would need to pass for the generator to kick on properly. So it would need to sense that the external power was lost. All of the mechanical systems would need to work properly for the generator to function, and the generator must output the electrical signal or power. And within each of these, they can be broken down further. So for the failure to sense external power loss, that could be due to either the external power sensor relay would fail to show that the external power was lost, or that's basically to kick on the generator. Or if the sensor itself just fails to work, then bad things happen. Similarly, with the mechanical systems, the fuel system could fail. The internal mechanical failures, such as like gearboxes, any couplings, that kind of thing, and the generator failing to output mechanical energy. So this would be the spindle coming out of the engine. So each of these can be broken up into, for example, the fuel system. It could be an empty fuel tank, failure to transfer fuel from tank to engine, so this would be like a leaky pipe. Fuel pump failure, so the pump that's pumping the fuel to the generator just dies. So that would cause a lack of energy being produced. With all of these, there are probabilities attached to them. So, for example, if the probability of an empty fuel tank was 1 times e to the negative 3, so 1 in 1,000 times the fuel will not be there. In contrast, the generator mechanic seizing, so this would be due to lack of oil or similar things happening, that was 1 e to the negative 5, so that's 1 in what, every 100,000, 10,000, something like that. 100,000, yeah, let's go with that. So all of these are added up, and by putting them back into the fault tree, you can produce a probability of each of the end states. These can be found down here in my appendix. So this first table is analyzing a cutter overheat failure. So this would be the most likely occurrence would be the cutting tool overheats with no coolant. This had a probability of 93.68%. And each of the other types of end failures can be described by the probabilities, or the probability of failure in each one of these. Here's the external power loss. So basically the odds of everything working perfectly would be 99.58%, which I like that. I like those numbers. Yeah, so that's basically how you do a PRA. It's a very generalized overview of it, but I think that's pretty good. Have a good evening, and I will see you around campus.